Hello, my dear friends. Well, I just put on a pair of new sunglasses I ordered. I really like them. They've got this leather on the sides for when I ride my scooter, and they're nice and round and big, and it's got all kinds of good characteristics to it. Looking out here at the sun, it looks totally different. So anyway, I thought I'd put them on when I start this video. Um, I'll take them off now. Yeah, I really like them. I haven't tested them out yet on my motorcycle, but I will probably later on today or tomorrow. Anyway, let's continue our journey. This absolute marvelous journey that we're on. Oh, many bumps in the road. Okay, I said in my previous video we were going to go deeper into the things that were being taught that became, well, it created a very legalistic environment in the church and amongst the people. As you can see, I'm sitting in my Jeep again, but nevertheless, let's continue. So some of those legalistic things were, how can I describe this? Well, okay, he had a sign made. The stepdad preacher had a sign made, which he put on one of the exterior doors to the church. There were two big, large double doors to the church, and on the main entry side, he had a sign made that quoted the scripture in Deuteronomy where Moses wrote that a man should not wear that which pertains to a woman, and a woman should not wear that which pertains to a man. And I'm sure you're familiar with the scripture. Well, anyway, the first time I saw it, I used to go to the church and pray all the time, get alone with God by myself. And so I walked up to the front door, I looked, and I saw this sign. It was about maybe 6 inches wide by 1.5 feet long. Very well done. Had the complete scripture there. And I looked at it, I stared at it, and I thought, what is this? So I thought, well, that's strange. So anyway, I let it go, and finally I got a chance to ask him, what is that sign doing on the front door? Well, the answer was very abrupt. He said, well, we're not going to let anyone into the main sanctuary from now on who is not dressed properly. And I said, well, okay, what do you mean not dressed properly? So he proceeded to tell me that improper dress was women could not come into the main sanctuary wearing a pair of pants or slacks, certainly not shorts, and certainly not the yoga pants, and anything else that was provocative or revealing. And I said, oh, okay. So my first question is, so you're going to take the law, even though the law is righteous. Paul said the law is holy, it's righteous. There's nothing wrong with the law. God gave it. But I said, you're going to take the law under this age of grace, and you're just going to hit the woman right in the face with it. Is that right? And he said, that's just the way it's going to be. I said, well, where are you going to put them? Where are you going to make them sit? He said, well, we've made arrangements because there was quite a large a baby care room there with a big glass window that they could look out and see the whole sanctuary. Plus there were speakers back there where they could hear everything that was going on. We'll have to make arrangements for them to sit in there. I said, okay, whatever. So I just let it go at that point. I don't remember how much time went by, but I do remember every time I would go to the church to pray and I would look at that sign, I would stare at that sign as I was getting ready to enter the church. And each time I would look at it, it would anger me. And I got more angry and I got more angry. And I thought, well, Lord, there must be something wrong with me. Till finally one day, I don't know how much time went by, maybe a few weeks, maybe a month, I don't know, maybe longer, I just don't remember. And so I finally got a screwdriver and took it off the door and I threw it in the trash. Of course, he found out that it wasn't on the door anymore. And so he called me in the office and said, hey, did you take that sign off of the front door? Because he figured I was the one that did it because no one else complained about it except me, the rebel. And I admitted that I was the culprit, the rebel. I didn't use them words, but I admitted that I had taken the sign down. And he said, what gave you the authority to do that? I said, well, I guess I really don't have the authority, because one of the things that William Branham taught was the pastor is the final authority in the church. Okay, we'll get into that maybe later. But anyway, I said, well, I guess I don't have any authority. I just became very angry over the fact that you were taking the Old Testament law and just blasting the poor women in the face with it. And before they were even offered grace, so I said, I want to ask you a question. I have to ask this question. I said, if you can answer this question, maybe I will recant my position. But I said, so here's my question. Do you mean to tell me that everyone that crosses that threshold to go into the sanctuary that's dressed properly, whatever that means, that their heart is totally pure, all sins have been forgiven, they're totally living under grace, they're not violating the law in any way, shape, or form, and so it's okay for them to walk in? You know the heart of every individual that's going into the sanctuary. Is that right? He said, well, no. I said, well, then I have this to say. Jesus said, man looks on the outward appearance, but God looks on the heart. So if you don't know what's in the heart, then you have no idea who's breaking the law in their heart. You have no idea. Because remember, the scripture also says if you're guilty in breaking the law in one point, you're guilty of breaking the whole law. So where do we go from here? Well, of course, he couldn't answer that question. So his conclusion was, well, we're going to put the sign back up there anyway. I said, oh, never said it out loud, but I I thought, well, okay, you're the pastor, you're the final authority, you're Micah the minor prophet, so I guess it's your church, you can do whatever you want. So I just let it go. But he never could answer my question. And then we had an issue over the televisions. Now remember, this was back in the late 70s, much of the 80s, and into the early 90s. Well, no, 80s, because by the time the 90s came around, he was already gone, and I was too. So through most of the 80s, the 70s, and most of the 80s. So the issue of the television came up, and guess what? We'll get into that on the next video. So please stay tuned. If you haven't subscribed, do so. Give me thumbs up, thumbs down, compliments, complaints, whatever. And God bless. Remember, never forget, Jesus Christ is the only way, the only truth, and the only life. And protect your freedom.